Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every human being's life when the pieces simply don't fit. You look at your circumstances, your family, your finances, your health, and you whisper to yourself, this doesn't make sense. You pray, but the door stays shut. You plan, but the road stays blocked. You cry, but the pain remains. And it's in these moments that most people lose heart. But hear me today, it's in these moments that your destiny is being measured. It's in these moments that your faith is being weighed. It's in these moments that your future is being determined, because trusting God when life makes sense isn't trust, it's agreement. Real trust is when you have no idea what He's doing and you hold on anyway. God's silence is not God's absence. God's silence is not God's absence. Just because you can't hear Him doesn't mean He's not working. It's in the quietest seasons of your life that the greatest miracles are being set in motion. When a seed is planted in the soil, it doesn't make noise. You don't hear it screaming, you don't hear it fighting, you don't hear it breaking open. But underground, something powerful is happening. The shell is breaking, the roots are reaching, and the life inside is fighting its way to the surface. And when it finally rises, people will see the beauty, but they'll never understand the battle that happened in the dark. Some of you are in that place right now. You've prayed, you've fasted, you've cried, you've begged for a word, and heaven feels quiet. But let me tell you something, the teacher is always silent during the test. The silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. The silence isn't rejection, it's protection. Because sometimes if God spoke too soon, you would move too soon. If He answered when you wanted, you would settle for less than what He had for you. Think about a builder constructing a skyscraper. Before you see anything rise above the ground, they spend months digging deep, laying foundations that nobody claps for, nobody praises, and nobody even notices. From the outside, it looks like a waste of time. People walking by might say, aren't they done yet? Nothing's happening. But what they don't see is that the deeper the foundation, the higher the building. And if you rush the process, if you lay a shallow foundation, when the storms come, and they will come, it won't last. Life works the same way. The seasons of silence are where your foundation is being dug. The lonely nights, the unanswered prayers, the disappointments, the betrayals, they're digging deep. And every shovel of dirt you feel like life throws on you is actually preparing the ground for something bigger than you imagine. You don't build a palace on sand. You don't put skyscrapers on soft soil, and you don't build destiny on shallow character. Some of you are frustrated because you see other people moving ahead. You see friends getting married, starting businesses, traveling the world, living their so-called best lives while you're stuck in what feels like divine silence. But listen to me, comparison is a thief. Their journey is not your journey. Their timing is not your timing. The reason some of them can move quickly is because their assignment isn't as high as yours. You're called to things they're not. You're being prepared for battles they'll never fight. You're being trained to carry weight they'll never lift. You have to understand that when God is silent, He's working behind the scenes. Doors are being opened in rooms you haven't even entered yet. Conversations are happening about your name in places your feet haven't touched. Contracts are being written. Hearts are being stirred. Opportunities are being shaped, not for where you are now, but for where you're going. And if you could see what He was orchestrating, you'd stop panicking in the silence. Look at a caterpillar. When it enters the cocoon, it's not beautiful. It's ordinary, crawling on the ground like every other insect. But inside that cocoon, in complete darkness and isolation, something happens. It struggles, it breaks down, it transforms. And it does all this in silence. Nobody's watching, nobody's applauding, nobody's posting about it on social media. But when the time is right, it emerges as something it wasn't before, with wings that can take it to heights it never imagined. That's you right now. You're in a cocoon season. You feel stuck, unseen, unheard, and maybe even unwanted. But what you don't realize is that your wings are forming, your strength is building, your spirit is being refined. And when this season is over, because it will be over, you won't crawl anymore. You'll fly, and the same people who overlooked you in the silence will have to watch you soar. You see, God doesn't owe you explanations. He gives revelations when the time is right. And if you'll stop demanding answers and start embracing the process, you'll find peace in the silence. Because it's there that you grow. It's there that you mature. It's there that you develop the patience, wisdom, and resilience you'll need for where you're headed. Some of the strongest people you know were forged in silence. They didn't get strong by being celebrated. They got strong by being isolated, by crying themselves to sleep, by waking up to no applause, by building in obscurity. And one day the world woke up and called them an overnight success, not realizing that night lasted for years. So don't despise this season. Don't curse the quiet. Don't give up just because you don't hear what you want to hear. Trust the process, because the deeper the silence, the greater the sound of the breakthrough when it comes. Purpose is bigger than pleasure. Purpose is bigger than pleasure. And the sooner you realize that, the stronger you'll become. Most people in life are chasing a feeling. They wake up every day asking, what will make me happy today? What will make me feel good? What will bring me comfort? But what they don't realize is that feelings are temporary and comfort is a trap. Pleasure is seasonal, but purpose is eternal. You weren't designed just to feel good. You were designed to do good. You were born to fulfill an assignment that will outlive your emotions and outlast your days. Look around you. The world is full of people addicted to convenience. We live in a culture that says if it's hard, quit. If it hurts, leave. If it's uncomfortable, run. People switch jobs, abandon relationships, and walk away from dreams because somewhere along the line, someone told them life was supposed to be easy. But let me tell you something powerful. Ease was never the goal. Impact was. And you can't make an impact if you're constantly running to what feels good and away from what stretches you. Diamonds don't form in soft hands. They form under intense heat and crushing pressure. Gold isn't purified in lukewarm water. It's refined in fire so hot it burns away everything weak, everything impure, everything unworthy. The same is true for people. Your purpose will require you to endure what pleasure would never allow. You can't build strength in comfort. You can't develop discipline when everything is easy. You can't discover your capacity if you're always looking for an escape. I remember seeing a documentary about professional athletes, the kind of men and women who push their bodies beyond what seems humanly possible. And one of them said something I'll never forget. He said, if it feels good, you're not growing. That's the mindset you need to carry. Because purpose isn't found in what's easy. It's found in what demands more from you than you thought you had to give. Some of you right now are in situations you wish you could escape, jobs you hate, responsibilities you didn't ask for, challenges you don't feel prepared to handle. And your natural instinct is to run to whatever feels better, whatever numbs the pain, whatever offers temporary relief. But listen to me, if you choose pleasure over purpose, you'll keep restarting the same cycle year after year. Because pleasure will satisfy you for a moment, but it'll never fulfill you. There's a reason people with money, fame, and status still end up empty. It's because pleasure without purpose is meaningless. It's cotton candy for the soul. Sweet for a second, then gone, leaving nothing behind but hunger. But purpose, even when it hurts, even when it costs you sleep, friends, and comfort, will fill your life with a sense of meaning no paycheck or applause could ever replace. Think about a mother in labor. The pain is intense. The discomfort is overwhelming. If she was chasing pleasure, she'd quit the moment the contractions hit. But there's a purpose inside her that's greater than the pain around her. She endures what would break most people because she understands that what she's carrying is worth the struggle. And when that child is finally born, the agony she went through becomes a distant memory compared to the joy of what she birthed. Your dreams, your calling, your purpose will demand that kind of mindset. It will ask you to endure when it hurts, to stay when you want to leave, to keep building when no one's clapping, to keep sowing when you see no harvest. Because purpose doesn't beg for your comfort. It demands your commitment. I once heard a man say, "You'll never meet a world changer who lived a comfortable life." And I believe that with everything in me. Every person who left a mark, who shifted history, who built something that mattered, had to trade pleasure for purpose. They had to endure seasons of loneliness, rejection, and failure. They had to say no to what felt good in the moment so they could say yes to what would matter in eternity. And you're no different. The frustration you feel, the loneliness you're battling, the obstacles in your way, they're not proof that you're off course. They're confirmation that you're on the right path. Because the enemy of destiny isn't hardship, it's comfort. It's settling, it's choosing easy over meaningful. And if you're always chasing what feels good, you'll never discover what you're capable of. Purpose is why a soldier runs toward the battle when others run away. Purpose is why an entrepreneur keeps risking failure for a vision nobody else can see. Purpose is why a student works 3 jobs and still studies through exhaustion because there's a future they refuse to let slip through their fingers. Purpose gives you stamina when pleasure would have you sitting on the sidelines. And the beautiful thing is, when you pursue purpose, joy follows. Not the shallow, fleeting kind that disappears when circumstances change, but a deep, unshakable, unexplainable joy that lives beneath the surface. The kind of joy that says, even if it hurts, even if I lose, even if I'm tired, I'm still in this because what I'm building matters. That's what separates people who make history from those who just visit it. That's what turns ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. And it all begins when you decide once and for all that your purpose is bigger than your pleasure. God sees what you can't see. God sees what you can't see. And that one truth, if you grasp it, will carry you through storms that would drown other people. You have to understand life is like a massive puzzle with thousands of scattered pieces spread across the table. You're holding one piece in your hand, staring at it, trying to make sense of it. And from where you sit, It looks random, it looks confusing, it looks meaningless. But there's a master planner, a designer who sees the full picture on the box cover when all you can see is a single fragment. And the problem with many people is they make permanent decisions based on temporary pieces. You have to trust that while you're staring at that broken relationship, that lost opportunity, that closed door, that unexpected diagnosis, God is looking at the whole picture. You see pain, He sees preparation. You see rejection, He sees redirection. You see a loss, He sees a setup for something greater than you ever imagined. And the mistake most people make is assuming that because they can't see the reason, there isn't one. But just because you can't see the road ahead doesn't mean it's not leading somewhere. I remember talking to a friend who lost his job out of nowhere. He had a mortgage, a family to feed, and no backup plan. At first, he was devastated. He spent weeks feeling like a failure, wondering why this was happening. But what he didn't know was that the company he worked for was quietly heading toward bankruptcy. 2 months after he was let go, the business collapsed, leaving hundreds jobless without severance pay because he was let go earlier. He had time to pivot, start his own consulting business, and today he's earning double what he made before. At the time, it felt like betrayal. In reality, it was protection. God closed a door He didn't know needed to be closed. That's why you can't panic every time something doesn't go your way. You don't know what that delay is saving you from. You don't know what that no is protecting you against. You don't know what's waiting behind doors you weren't meant to open. You might be praying for an opportunity, not realizing that opportunity would destroy your peace. You might be chasing a relationship, not knowing that person would sabotage your destiny. You might be envying someone else's life on social media, not realizing the silent battles they're losing behind the pictures. It's like walking through a dense forest. All you can see is the next step. The trees, the branches, the fog, they block your view. But if someone were watching you from a helicopter above, they could see the whole path. They could warn you of danger ahead. They could show you shortcuts you'd never notice. They could point out safe places to rest. That's what God does. He sees from above what you'll never see from where you are. And sometimes He blocks what you want, not because He's cruel, but because He loves you too much to let you walk blindly into a trap. You have to learn to trust the no's, trust the detours. Sometimes what feels like a curse is a disguised blessing. I once heard a story about a man who missed his flight, furious because it made him late for an important meeting. Hours later, the plane he was supposed to be on crashed. In the moment, it felt like life was against him, but what seemed like a setback was a literal lifesaver. This is why faith isn't about understanding everything. It's about trusting in the one who does. It's about believing that your disappointments are divine appointments in disguise, that your unanswered prayers might be the greatest blessings you'll never realize you needed. It's about knowing that just because the road takes an unexpected turn doesn't mean it's leading nowhere. Have you ever driven through a mountain road at night? The curves are sharp, the cliffs are high, and your headlights only reveal a few feet ahead. But you keep driving because you trust the road was built to get you to the other side. You don't see the entire route, but you move forward because you trust that there's a destination. Life is like that. You can't see the whole plan, but you have to move anyway. You have to walk by faith, not by sight, because the sight will scare you, the faith will carry you. And here's the truth: God is not obligated to explain Himself. He never promised you a detailed blueprint before every decision. He promised to be with you. He promised to direct your steps. He promised that all things would work together for your good, not that all things would feel good or look good or even make sense. The same God who closed one door has already opened another. The same God who allowed one chapter to end has already written the next one. I've met people who've gone through unimaginable losses, careers destroyed, marriages shattered, health gone, and years later they look back and say, I didn't understand it then. I hated it then, but now I see it saved me. It changed me. It made me better. That's the kind of trust you need. The kind that says, I don't get it, but I believe it's good. I don't feel it, but I trust it's right, because God sees what you can't see. And when it finally comes together, you'll realize why certain things had to fall apart. Delay is not denial. Delay is not denial. And the sooner you plant that truth deep in your heart, the stronger you'll stand when life feels like it's moving in slow motion. See, we live in a world addicted to speed. Everything is instant. Fast food, high-speed internet, overnight delivery, next day success stories on social media. If it doesn't happen quick, people assume it's not going to happen at all. But let me tell you something powerful. Just because it hasn't shown up yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. God's timing is not your timing. Heaven doesn't follow human deadlines. What feels like a delay to you is often divine timing in disguise. I want you to think about the bamboo tree. When a farmer plants a bamboo seed, he waters it, nurtures it, cares for it. And for the first year, nothing happens. Not a single sprout breaks through the soil. The second year comes, same routine, water, feed, wait, nothing. Third year, still barren ground. Fourth year, still no sign of life. Most people would have given up by now, walked away, called it dead. But in the fifth year, something incredible happens. That same bamboo tree grows up to 80 feet tall in just 6 weeks. Was it doing nothing for 4 years? No. Beneath the surface, it was building a root system strong enough to support the massive growth that was coming. It had to grow down before it could grow up. And some of you right now are in your root building years. You've been praying for a breakthrough, and it seems like heaven is silent. You've been working on that vision, and no doors have opened. You've been believing for a turnaround, and the situation still looks the same. But what you don't realize is that God is preparing you to the surface. He's stretching your capacity, building your character, strengthening your resolve, teaching you patience. Because when the blessing finally comes, you need to be able to handle it. If you get it too soon, you might not be ready. If you step into that position before your heart is matured, the pressure might crush you. If you receive that opportunity before your foundation is strong enough, it could destroy you. And God loves you too much to let you step into something unprepared. It isn't God teasing you, it's God protecting you. It's heaven saying, not now, I'm getting you ready. I remember a young man desperate to become a motivational speaker. He spent years sending emails, recording videos, knocking on doors, trying to land speaking gigs. But no one gave him a chance. It felt like every door was slammed in his face. He could have quit. Most people would have. But he kept sharpening his skills in private. He kept speaking in empty rooms, recording videos nobody watched, studying while no one clapped. And when his moment finally came, when one viral video shot him into the spotlight, he was ready. What looked like delay was actually preparation. The stage he stood on demanded a strength he wouldn't have developed if success had come too soon. This is what life does to those destined for greatness. It hides them for a season. It stretches them in obscurity. It delays their arrival so their character can catch up with their calling. Because charisma might get you into a room, but only character will keep you there. And so while you're complaining about the weight, heaven is refining your heart. I've seen people get what they prayed for too soon, and it ruined them. They weren't ready for the money. They weren't prepared for the responsibility. They couldn't handle the spotlight. What was meant to bless them became the thing that broke them because they mistook delay for denial. But those who endure the delay, those who don't abandon the process, those who trust the timing, they receive not just the blessing, but the wisdom to sustain it. Imagine if a child demanded to drive a car before they were old enough. A loving parent wouldn't say yes, not because they're cruel, but because they know what the child doesn't. That timing matters. In the same way, God's delays aren't His way of denying you. They're His way of protecting you from crashing your destiny. And sometimes the delay isn't about you at all. It's about the people connected to your destiny. There are some doors that haven't opened yet because the people you need to meet aren't ready yet. There are some assignments you haven't stepped into because the atmosphere you're meant to transform isn't prepared to receive you. And you have to trust that while you're waiting, God is working on both sides. It's like a theater play. The curtains are drawn, the stage is empty, and the audience is waiting. You're backstage, pacing, wondering when it'll be your turn. What you don't see is that behind the curtain, stagehands are setting the scene, lighting is being adjusted, sound checks are being done. The delay is not the denial of your role. It's preparation for the perfect moment when the spotlight will hit, the curtain will rise, and your moment will arrive. Pain is the proof you're still in the process. Pain is the proof you're still in the process. And I need you to hear this today, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. Because somewhere along the line, we've been conditioned to believe that pain is always a bad sign. That when life hurts, when the weight feels heavy, when the road gets rough, it must mean something's wrong. But the truth is, pain is not your enemy. Pain is evidence that you haven't given up. It's the alarm clock of purpose reminding you that you're still in the middle of your becoming. You've got to understand, nothing meaningful in this life is born without pain. Every great thing that's ever been built, every significant achievement that's ever been accomplished, every destiny that's ever been fulfilled has pain stitched into its foundation. It's part of the process. The pain you feel isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's proof that you're stretching, growing, breaking out of who you were to become, who you were born to be. Think about a caterpillar in its cocoon. The transformation from a crawling earth-bound creature to a winged thing of beauty isn't easy. Inside that dark, tight space, everything the caterpillar thought it was gets dismantled. Its body breaks down into liquid form. It's literally unrecognizable, isolated, alone, pressed on every side, and it hurts. But that process, as uncomfortable as it is what makes the wings possible. Without the pain of breaking down, there can be no rising up. Some of you are in your cocoon right now. Life feels tight. The pressure is unbearable. It seems like everything you knew yourself to be is falling apart, and you're tempted to panic, to break out early, to find an escape. But if you cut that cocoon too soon, the butterfly dies. It never gains the strength it needs in its wings to fly. That struggle you're in is developing the strength you'll need for what's coming next. Pain is the proof you're still in the process. I remember watching a documentary about bodybuilders, those people who sculpt their physiques into near superhuman form. One of them said something that struck me. If it doesn't hurt, it's not working. Because the muscle only grows when it's been torn down. Those tiny muscle fibers have to break under the strain of the weight so they can rebuild stronger, bigger, and more resilient than before. In the same way, the weight of your trial is stretching your capacity. The pressure you feel isn't punishment, it's preparation. You don't get stronger in easy seasons. You don't develop faith on mountaintops. You don't build endurance when everything is comfortable. It's the dark nights, the hard mornings, the lonely afternoons that shape you. It's when you've cried out and no answer came, when you felt abandoned, when you had to encourage yourself because no one else knew you were breaking. That's where real power is forged. Pain is a sign you're alive. It means you're still fighting, still pressing forward, still chasing that calling that scares you half to death, but won't let you go. Dead things don't feel pain. Only what's still becoming feels the sting of growth. That ache in your chest, that heaviness in your heart, that restlessness in your soul. It's not weakness, it's a signal, a message from heaven that says, I'm not done with you yet. Keep moving. Look at the construction of skyscraper. Before a single glass panel goes up, before one polished marble floor is installed, there's digging, deep digging. The higher the building is meant to rise, the deeper the foundation has to go. And those months of dirt, mud, and heavy machinery can feel like wasted time to an untrained eye. But to a builder, it's the most critical phase. The pain of the process determines the height of the promise. Some of you have been digging so long you forgot what sunlight feels like. You've been in a season of unseen labor, unnoticed effort, uncelebrated progress. But don't be deceived by the silence. The process is working, and the pain is your evidence. It's telling you that you haven't flatlined, you haven't disqualified yourself, you haven't reached the end. You're still in it. I once spoke to a woman who survived a grueling battle with illness. She said the worst part wasn't the physical pain, it was the mental torment of believing she was suffering for no reason. But she came to realize something powerful. Every ounce of pain had purpose. It changed me. It exposed the fake in my life. It showed me what mattered. It made me unshakable. And when she walked out of that valley, she wasn't the same person who had entered it. That's what pain does. It alters your DNA. It builds an authority in you that no easy season could. So when you feel that ache in your body, in your heart, in your spirit, don't despise it. Don't curse the process. It's evidence you're still on the wheel, still in the furnace, still being molded by the hands of the one who knows what masterpiece lies on the other side of your discomfort. Pain is not the end. It's the proof you're still in the process. Trust is a decision, not an emotion. Trust is a decision, not an emotion. And when you grasp the weight of that, it'll change how you handle every setback, every unanswered question, every silent season you face. Because if you leave trust in the hands of your emotions, you'll only trust when you feel good, when things go your way, when the road is smooth and the sun is shining. But the problem is, life doesn't work like that. Life will hit you with storms you never saw coming. It will knock you to your knees with news you never expected. And if your trust is built on emotion, it will shatter the moment the winds change. You have to decide to trust with trembling hands, with tear-streaked eyes, with unanswered prayers hanging heavy in your chest. It's a conscious, stubborn, unshakable choice to believe even when nothing makes sense. It's waking up in the morning after another sleepless night and saying, I choose to trust today. It's driving to a job you hate while believing it's not the end of your story. It's sitting beside a hospital bed and choosing to trust when the doctors shake their heads. It's opening another rejection letter and still believing something greater is being written. I remember watching a documentary about a tightrope walker who crossed between skyscrapers without a safety net. The reporter asked him how he dealt with the fear, and he said, I don't let my emotions lead. I've made a decision that I will finish the walk no matter what. That's what trust is. It's deciding to walk even when your knees shake. It's deciding to believe even when your heart breaks. It's deciding to keep going when your feelings scream for you to stop. Your emotions will lie to you. One moment they'll tell you you're strong, the next they'll convince you you're hopeless. One day you'll feel unstoppable, the next you'll feel invisible. If you build your life on how you feel, you'll be unstable, inconsistent, and unproductive. But if you build it on decisions, on conviction, you'll endure seasons that break other people. You'll survive things that should have taken you out. Because trust built on decision doesn't waver. Think about an airplane pilot flying through thick clouds where visibility drops to zero. If he relied on what he felt, the dip of the wings, the hum of the engines, the illusion of motion, he'd crash. So what does he do? He trusts his instruments. He chooses to ignore his emotions and trust the gauges, the numbers, the facts he can't see but knows are true. That's what you must do in life. When you're surrounded by darkness, when nothing feels stable, you have to trust the instruments. The promises, the inner conviction, the decision you made long before the storm hit. It's easy to talk about trust when your bank account is full, when your health is good, when relationships are thriving. But real trust is proven in drought, in famine, in conflict. It's tested when you pray and hear nothing back, when you sow and reap no harvest, when you give and feel no return. That's when trust as a decision becomes your anchor. I've met people who walked through the valley of grief, who lost children, spouses, opportunities they spent years building, and somehow they radiated peace. Not because they didn't hurt, not because they weren't devastated, but because somewhere in the darkness, they decided, I will trust anyway. That decision didn't erase their pain, but it gave them strength in it. It didn't answer all their questions, but it allowed them to keep walking. Emotions are passengers on the road of life, but they should never be the driver. If you let them take the wheel, they'll crash you every time. But if you decide ahead of time that no matter what, you will trust, even when the job falls through, even when the relationship dies, even when the diagnosis comes back positive, even when the answer is no, then you will weather storms others drown in. I remember a friend of mine who was building a business. Every door closed, every loan denied, investors backed out. It would have made perfect sense for him to quit. His emotions told him it was hopeless, but he decided to trust the vision, to trust the process, to trust that every no was leading him to the right yes. And years later, not months, but years, the breakthrough came, his business exploded. The same banks that denied him were now casing him. The same people who laughed at him sought his advice. And when asked how he made it, he didn't credit luck or talent. He credited a decision to trust. You must choose to trust not because you feel like it, but because you've decided to. And some days you'll have to make that decision minute by minute, breath by breath. But that's where unshakable, immovable, resilient people are forged. In the quiet, painful, lonely moments when no one is watching and you whisper to yourself, I trust. And so here's what I need you to grab hold of today. Life will not always make sense. The road you're walking will twist, turn, dip, and rise in ways you never predicted. Some seasons will blindside you. Some storms will come without warning. There'll be moments when the people you counted on disappear, when doors you were sure would open slam shut, and when the very ground beneath your feet feels unstable. And in those moments, when confusion whispers, when fear screams, and when loneliness tries to suffocate you, you must stand tall, square your shoulders, lift your head, and declare with every ounce of courage in your soul, I will trust anyway. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you decide. Because feelings come and go, but decisions define destinies. The great ones, the ones whose names are remembered long after they're gone. They weren't people who never felt afraid, who never felt lost, who never faced heartbreak. They were people who chose, in spite of it all, to trust the process, to trust the timing, and to trust that everything happening was shaping them for a greater assignment. You are not buried, you are planted. And the difference between those two is your perspective. A buried thing is forgotten, discarded, written off. But a planted thing is placed in the dark because it's destined to rise. Don't you dare confuse your dark season for a dead one. The pressure you feel isn't meant to crush you. It's meant to construct you. The weight isn't there to break you. It's there to build you. Diamonds aren't formed in comfort, champions aren't made in convenience, and legacies aren't birthed in the easy places. Remember this, ships don't sink because of the water around them. They sink because of the water they let in. Don't let the chaos of what's happening around you get inside you. Don't let the delays, denials, betrayals, and setbacks drown your spirit. Guard your heart, protect your mind, and fuel your faith like your life depends on it, because it does. When you feel like giving up, remind yourself why you started. When the nights grow long and the answers don't come, whisper to yourself, this too shall pass. When the enemy tries to convince you it's over, say out loud, my best is yet to come. It was Liz Brown who said, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars, and it's true, you were never created for average. You were born for greatness, designed for impact, built to shake the ground you stand on. There's power inside you that hasn't even been activated yet. There's a future with your name on it that your current struggle can't even touch. The enemy wouldn't be fighting you this hard if what you carried wasn't dangerous. The pressure is proof of your potential. I dare you to declare it today. I will trust when I don't understand. I will trust when I don't feel like it. I will trust when I'm tired. I will trust when I'm misunderstood. I will trust when the door closes. I will trust when the phone doesn't ring. I will trust in the dark what was promised in the light. Because faith isn't believing when you see it. It's believing until you see it. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are being refined. And when this season passes, because you'll look back and realize it was in the struggle that you found your strength. It was in the silence that you found your voice. It was in the storm that you discovered what you're made of. And when the dust settles, you'll be standing, not because it was easy, not because it all made sense, but because you trusted when it didn't. So the next time life leaves you questioning, the next time the plan crumbles, the next time you find yourself in the waiting room of destiny, remember what champions do. They trust, they persist, they rise, and so will you. Because inside you is a giant the world hasn't met yet. Inside you is a comeback story waiting to be told. Inside you is the answer to somebody else's prayer. And as long as there's breath in your body, there's fight in your spirit. So hold your head up, walk with fire in your eyes, and declare to every obstacle, I will trust anyway.